Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable. DBS Bank and Money Control present Small Business to Smart Business.
Hello, and a very warm welcome to Money Control's podcast series from small business to smart business. Today, we are talking about sustainable financing and how can businesses, especially small and medium enterprises, expand and adopt sustainability as a way of doing business. To discuss this and more, I'm joined by Miss Yolanda, who's joining us from DBS Bank. She joined DBS in 2017 and she heads sustainability of the institutional banking group. Thank you so much, Yolanda, for joining us. I want you to talk about, how is the focus on sustainability evolving in SMEs, especially in India, and if you could give us a comparison between India and other markets that DBS works in.
Certainly. Thank you for having me on this podcast. And for DBS, India is a core market for us. And we have been banking both large corporates, mid caps, and SMEs in India. With those insights and the experience that we've had, what we've seen that is trending at the moment is that there are now part and parcel strategic decisions made by SMEs to become more sustainable. And I think when people talk about sustainability, especially for SMEs in an emerging market, the focus is on two things: energy efficiency, and in India, water efficiency. So it is about focusing on the E and also the S. And under the S, or the social of ESG, we focus on health and safety and workers' rights and their community relations. So I think for SMEs, even though for a long time we recognize that they may have limited capacity and capability to embark on efficiency measures or to think about workers' rights and health and safety measures to the degree that large corporates can afford to do. These days, SMEs cannot afford to wait anymore. The reason is because their buyers, their customers demand it. We know many of the SMEs that we bank, they're anchor buyers. They could be a multinational brand or it could be a local Indian brand. They will conduct audits, whether it is on environmental measures, health and safety measures of their suppliers. Many of them are SMEs. As a result of their buyers' requirements, the SMEs really have to step up.
Interesting. No, I completely agree. As in, SMEs and SMBs are they're driving the growth story, and they're the kind of jobs and the economic activity that they create on ground. Typically, what are the challenges that you've seen that SMEs face when it comes to adopting sustainable practices?
Well, as an SME, cash flow is king. And we know that when they provide the goods and services to their customers, they would like to be paid as early as possible on terms that are as favorable as possible when financing is involved. On the back of that understanding, what we are trying to promote at DBS with SME customers in India is an idea of green now, pay later. So it's a play on the trend of buy now, pay later, but instead we are saying green now, pay later. How it works is when we provide supply chain financing to the suppliers on the back of the credit rating of their customers, of the buyers, we are able to encourage them to adopt whether it is energy efficiency or water saving features. And when they do so, the suppliers, i.e., our SME customers, can enjoy a discount on the interest payment. Also, a second solution under Green Now Pay Later is to provide the SME suppliers to be able to get paid earlier because they follow through with a number of environmental health and safety requirements that we expect of them. So I think for us, we really want to integrate sustainability into the SME's cash flow concern. We don't want to set this sustainability agenda aside as something that is good to have. It has to be part of their running of the businesses.
Yes, absolutely. Like you said, that now is the time for SMEs to switch to sustainable practices. It is the need of the hour. How do you typically drive the Indian SMEs, to be part of the global supply chain and push them to seize this opportunity? Because currently there's so much pressure on costs. India wants to take advantage of the China plus one strategy. They want to be seen, and they want to be seen very seriously in the part of as part of the global supply chain, and cost competitiveness is extremely important. So how do you balance these two, in terms of being sustainable yet being competitive?
Yes. And our supply chain financing solution, the Green Now Pay Later solutions that I've just talked about, are part and parcel of that strategizing for SMEs. We believe that SMEs, in their running of the businesses, they have to really think about the day-to-day cash flow management. And as a result, we want to offer an incentive in the terms that we extend financing to them, or in the terms of when they would get paid by their buyers on favorable basis. And that incentive is to encourage them to adopt energy efficiency or water saving features or any health and safety improvements to workers' accommodation. All those things can be agreed upfront with the SME customers so that they're comfortable with what targets that are being set for them. And I think for SMEs, they are very competitive and adaptable by nature. And as a result, we have found that when we set targets with the SME customers, together with their customers, i.e., the anchor buyers, we get great results. And also, we are willing as a commercial bank to provide that little bit of incentive.
Mm-hmm. Yvonne, if you could talk about, what can SMEs learn from corporates, and vice versa? What can large corporates learn from SMEs when it comes to sustainable practices?
I think the exchange of notes between the large corporates and the SMEs come down to one thing, which is partnerships. And in the world of doing businesses, partnership is no stranger to many of our customers. What we mean by that is you need to find allies in the market, whether it is your upstream raw materials provider or your downstream customers. They have to be your allies with a common goal or a common KPI that you want to deliver together. So I think in large corps, we have seen a lot of partnerships being put in place, and SMEs, they should really leverage the industry associations' influence and collective power to be able to um, have regulations that are more enabling for their development.
Mhm. And could you also tell us a little bit more about DBS Bank's expertise in responsible banking, and what's your path to net zero?
Of course. So for us, we are part of the institutional banking group, and we bank large corps, multinational corporations, and SMEs across markets, and we serve all banking products and services, whether it is a loan, whether it is a bond, whether it is derivative, trade financing, we would integrate ESG components into it. And with that in mind, our team, we have three big responsibilities. One, we conduct environmental and social due diligence on some of the financing that we extend to customers, especially the large infrastructure financing, to ensure that we are aware of the environmental and social impacts arising from large scale development. And in doing so, it leads us to the second area of responsibility that we have, which is the promotion of sustainable finance. When we see risks, we turn them into opportunities. We know that financing the transition because of climate change, because of the shortage of environmental resources, because of the tightness in the labor market, we have to turn risks into opportunities. And whether it is doing a green loan or doing a sustainability linked bond, both instruments allow us to promote better behavior with corporate. And the third thing that we do is net zero. We have signed up to become a net zero bank, and we are the first Singaporean bank to do so. We have set very comprehensive targets for 7 sectors. These sectors include oil and gas, power, shipping, aviation. And what we have done is to ensure that we have an interim 2030 targets. So we know the customers that we have now in our portfolio, we can work with them to gradually transition to a lower carbon mode of operation so that the customers can get more carbon efficient and our portfolio gets more carbon efficient. We can't become net zero without our customers.
Right. Thanks for that, Yolanda. Yolanda, could you help us understand, how does sustainability impact competitiveness? Because ultimately, every business is aspiring to be competitive. Any case studies or any examples that you could share with us there?
Of course, DBS has been a big advocate of transition finance. In fact, we are the first commercial bank in the world to come out with a transition finance framework and taxonomy. At the time, we found that it was really lacking in the market what constitutes transition. And as a result, we decided to develop our own taxonomy outlining the type of economic activities that we would consider as transition in nature to ensure that companies that may still be reliant on fossil fuels can still tap into this greater pool of capital that is sustainable finance capital. We have had a number of case studies that I can share with you. We have worked with a great partner, Inditex, which is a very world recognized brand because they have Sarah and other big name brands under it. And together with Inditex, we have provided financing to the farmer cooperatives to encourage the farmers to grow organic cotton. That is one case that we are very proud of working with an anchor buyer, Inditex, and working with the cooperatives and the microfinance financial institutions to reach out to the smallholders to encourage better behavior and in this case to grow organic cotton to satisfy the increasing demand for cotton that is grown sustainably.
That's lovely. That's really, really encouraging. Any mindset change that you had to, work around? How did you have a tough time convincing them to grow organic cotton, or was there a strong business case for them, and that's what got them, to switch to a more sustainable farming practice?
Well, with a multi-partner partnership, such as the one with Inditex and the cooperatives and the smallholders, we have to give value to everyone involved. Everyone should get something out of it. For the smallholder farmers, they get better terms of financing. So that is a big plus in their world because their normal borrowing cost could be double digit. And coming from the MFI backed by DBS, they can enjoy a lower cost of borrowing. So that's for the farmers. For the MFIs, they already have a development mandate. So with DBS loan to the MFIs, they are able to scale up to the lending that they can extend to farmers so that more farmers can be involved. For Inditex, a big multinational company with multiple brand names in the organization, they get organic cotton and a reliable and resilient supply chain. So we don't consider this case as a one-off. In fact, it can be scaled. It can be scaled to more farmers in India and beyond. And we want to see organic cotton to be grown more widely and not no longer at a premium. So that is the value that Inditex can enjoy and get out of the partnership. For DBS, we are going to make this into a proper business. So it is still loans extended on commercial basis, despite the social features that we've embedded into it. So like I said, it has to be a positive value exchange. Everyone has got skin in the game and everyone has got positive value derived from it.
Absolutely. Beyond DBS, Yolanda, typically what are the financing options that are available for promoting sustainability in emerging markets? What would your advice be?
Our principle has always been that any financing nowadays can have a sustainability component or dimension to it. Either we can work with our customers to identify pockets of their operations or measures that they can put in place, any capital investment that would lead to better environmental or social outcomes, and do a green loan or a social loan, for example. Or it could be in the capital markets, a green bond or a social bond. Or alternatively, a structure could be set by using a sustainability link incentive built-in structure. Under this structure, we agree with our borrowers upfront what sort of targets we would like them to reach. And these targets will have to be quite ambitious, because when they meet those targets, DBS would give them an incentive in the form of a lower interest rate for their repayment. And with these two structures, we can work out whether we can work with the clients to identify green features in their operation in the form of a green loan, or we can always identify areas for improvement, areas for efficiency upgrade, and that can be a sustainability linked structure. And with those two structures, we are able to turn sustainable finance into mainstream finance.
Fabulous. Thank you, Yolanda, for that perspective. It was a very insightful conversation on how small and medium-sized businesses can look at scaling and becoming sustainable by tapping into financing options that are available. So it is not, from what I've gathered today, it is not something that can only be done if you're a big corporate. There is enough and more incentive for small businesses to switch to sustainable solutions and yet become competitive and plug themselves in as part of global supply chains. Thanks so much for joining us, Yolanda, and of course we'll be back with more on Small Business to Smart Business podcast series. Thanks so much for watching and tuning in.
DBS Bank and Money Control present Small Business to Smart Business. Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.